Are you thinking about moving homes? Have you considered what you have to do to move a home? Could be quite challenging. But in this episode today, we will be talking about how exactly to move homes. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Shew, and we are talking today about a client of mine. This is actually very recent. He's considering moving houses, and we're going to talk about his situation, what we're doing to tackle his situation, and exactly what are the next steps for him to move houses. So he called me the other day, and he said, "Hey, Jeffrey, I am considering moving. Well, no, I need to move houses by September. My daughter is accepted into a IB school for high school, and I need to be either walking distance or maybe 15-20 minute bus, but only one bus to that school so that it'll be convenient for her. And how do I go about this? What do I do?" So I scheduled a meeting with him, and we sat down, had a consultation. There's definitely a lot of things to consider. So the first thing that we have to look at when we're considering moving is his assets and his financial capabilities. Always the first step will be to check with your bank and find a mortgage representative to see like what you can do with your assets and your money and all that. So my client's situation is he has his own home and he also has an investment condo. Now the investment condo is being rented out, and I believe he bought it for around 300,000, and it's being rented out for about 2,500 per month. His home, he bought it for about 400,000, and right now it's worth about 800,000. So, and he said that he wants to move into a house, and his budget when he first told me was 1.5 million, is what he was considering. Now, to tackle this, we have to, like I mentioned, that we potentially have to sell his house, or and he has to talk to the bank and find out what he can borrow, and plus he has to know how much he has as a down payment. I think he might have around 200,000 saved up by himself. But he was considering maybe not even using that, so that he could just sell his house and then take the proceeds from the house, move it into the new house, and then get a bigger mortgage on the new house. And at the same time, selling a house takes some time too. Right now it's January. He needs to move in by September, and it's if you're doing a sell and buy. Now, taking 6 to 8 months to plan all this and start is about right. It could be very quick. It could be very slow. It's just dependent per person and each family, and how quick everyone is able to move. So I had a meeting with them. We went over the process of like doing everything, and I looked at his house. I told him what it was worth, but I also discussed how we're gonna have to, if we plan to sell the house, then what we have to do to sell the house in terms of renovation, in terms of decluttering, in terms of all that stuff. And then you have to do some light staging. Or if the property is completely vacant, then you have to do full staging. So that whole stuff takes some time. So that day that I met with him, we got a contractor the next day to determine how much his renovations would cost and what he would have to do to get it into a presentable shape. And then the following week, we went to go see some houses. We didn't go see for the purpose of buying any of the houses, but we went for the purpose of investigating how much things are worth for what he likes, right? Like if he's told me he's got a budget of 1.5 million, but he hasn't even spoken to the banker yet. He hasn't looked at houses yet, so he might not even need to spend 1.5 for what he wants. He just kind of was browsing this internet, and maybe he saw like a house that he liked for 1.5, but he doesn't really know until we walk into a house and see what he likes. After doing the showings, after doing the renos, it turns out that to get his place to a somewhat presentable shape with renovations, it could cost about 40 to 50,000, or he could just do bare minimum and spend only about 5 to 10,000. where you just paint the whole place and change up here and there. So really dependent on what he wants to do on that note. I will say that, if you want to cheap out on the reno, it's definitely better than just starting out huge renovation budget, and then because once you do a small reno, you can always go back and say, hey, you know what? I want to renovate more. I want to renovate more. But if you do a big reno and you want to go back, you can't go back, bro. There's no refunds on that stuff. Okay, so maybe you just want to put it on the market and test it out and see if you don't have to do anything and try to sell it that way, because you can always go back and renovate if you need to. But once you finish renovating, you can't. There's no refund on a contractor. Sorry. Then the following week, we did some showings and we found out that some of the properties he might only need 1.1 to 1.2 for the house that he wants, and so he might not need to go up to the 1.5 budget. And when he was telling me 1.5 million, he was kind of just giving it estimate while considering that he would get the proceeds from the sale of the house. But the following day that we consulted again, his banker told him that he can refi the condo, he can refi the house, and he might not even need to sell the house. He'll get about 500 to 600,000 from the refinance of his investment condo and his current house, and he can rent out his current house for about 3,500 a month, so he can keep both properties and then just buy a new one while refinancing both, get 5 to 600,000 down payment, and then mortgage for the new house that he's about to buy. He can mortgage maybe about 5 to 600,000, and that would be comfortable for him, is what he was telling me. And I think that's a pretty solid plan. So we went through a sheet of paper. I wrote down every single asset, what the expenses were, and what his take-home rental income was. And then I asked him how much he made, and I determined exactly how much he will be paying versus how much he makes, to make sure that it's extremely comfortable if he does that sort of plan. He's still deciding whether he's going to sell the house or refinance. If you sell the house, you get more back, and you will deleverage and de-stress. If you keep the house and you keep the condo and you buy a new house, then I was suggesting that it's very, very financially stressful if you lost a month of work or anything like that, and you decide to leverage the whole 9 yards like that. That could be extremely stressful. It depends per family situation how they can handle financial stress. So we're still in the process of that. I'm glad he found, like, we just find out what he kind of likes and what's kind of worth. So we're still determining whether he's going to sell or not. But I thought this was something good to share. And if you guys are interested in getting a consultation like this, you can always give me a call. So that's it for this story today. I hope you guys liked it. If you guys want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe down below. So take care.